A very good evening to our viewers. Thank you for joining us tonight on the agenda. My name is Tileni Mongudhi. Tonight on the platform, I'm joined by Tileni Mongudhi. He's a senior political journalist, also investigative journalist. And we are just here to unpack a few topics regarding current affairs in our country. There is a lot of things happening. It's election year. It's the death of President Hage and the many issues that emerged out of that said episode. So Tileni, thank you for making time. I think
good evening to you.
Yeah, wonderful. So the thing, tell me on the 4th of February, what do you recall about receiving that news, the confirmation and everything around the death of the president? Where were you? Do you recall anything?
Yes, I was with I was with friends, but it's one of those where there was no sleeping, because already earlier in the day, before that evening, earlier in the day, the Saturday, we sort of heard signals and mixed messages, and it sort of became apparent that the president's death is imminent. Because we were asking and we were probing, but you people are telling you that no, it's some are saying he's fine, he spoke, others were saying no, he's actually in a very critical condition. So it then, because of the mixed messages, it then sent the country into a frenzy. And I think that's why you see that you find that the presidency then had to issue that statement, which said that the president is critical but stable, which then obviously, if we had learned from the late Nelson Mandela's death, that was the first signal that, okay, I think we just have to hold on and wait. So as the night progresses, it became more evident that I think we might be losing the president. And eventually, in the wee hours of the morning, it happened. So everyone was on edge. I think no one was sleeping. I was still with friends and family. We were just sitting around, not wanting to go home and sleep, because we knew that there must be something coming.
Yeah. I remember the same thing. I mean, I was, because I was told as early as 11 o'clock in the morning on Saturday that something seriously was happening. In fact, my sources were saying he has already passed on, but I didn't think it was true. I don't think that was true. Then came the Mbumba statement.
Yes.
Saying, there are signs of positive signs and stuff like that, which I thought was a very awkward statement under the circumstances. Only for them to issue a statement many hours later that the old man has passed on. So that was very sad. I did the same. I didn't sleep. I got a call from Edward Mumbu from New Era, asking, telling me, that there would be a big announcement to be made, and we just kept awake. He was also asking if I was aware of any more details, and I didn't have those. So may the president's soul rest in peace, of course. But with the death of the president, so many things emerged. First, that afternoon, Mbumba was sworn in as president. Netumbo Nandi-Ndaitwah was sworn in as vice president. And then immediately questions of legitimacy came up. People saying, oh, but should they have been substantively appointed, or are they acting? Mbumba shouldn't have appointed another person as vice president because he is VP and he was only supposed to act as president while serving as substantive VP. I don't know what your thoughts were around that.
Well, I think it was quite it's still an awkward situation, but I like the fact that we had the Namibian people came out and debated this robustly. I'm saying that constitutional crises are normal, and it's important that we debate it and find a solution to it, because it's going to happen again in future. And at least if we deal with it properly now, it will not present bigger problems in future.
Yeah.
So I was looking at it and I'm saying it's quite a conundrum. I mean, you have you can call him a transitional president perhaps, but he's still a president, because I don't think you can have a president, acting president, because then how can he execute his duties as head of state, as a commander-in-chief? So you had now that problem where people are questioning, was it right? I think that you can't have somebody acting for 12 months or longer, or even longer than, or 6 months as long. I mean, for head of state, you need the head of state to sit. And I mean, President Bumba himself said it's just seeing out the term of the late President Gaingo. But now, should we treat him like an acting president? And can we afford as a country to have a country on autopilot, not having someone at the helm? Those are the questions that we need to ask. But I'm just saying that people should not shy away from debating it, because, I mean, elsewhere in the world, the UK had how many prime ministers in a period of weeks? The Americans could not agree how to impeach Donald Trump. I mean, that's a constitutional crisis in its own. At some point, Russia was also, Putin leaving Medvedev and coming back. Should he not? So these are normal things. They happen elsewhere in the world. South Africa had the same. Kgalema Motlanthe had a few months to run this country. Obviously, their provisions are different, because the president is appointed or elected by parliament. It's not like us, where you have to be elected directly. So we have quite an interesting time, and how we manage it is what determines how we go forward in future.
One of the things that I wrote in my editorial, one of the lessons that I've learned from this sad episode of the passing of the president, is that some things that we took for granted, things that we were complacent about, became more important. The vice president's position, for example, which was a very controversial creation of Geingob, ironically, in 2014 with Saki Shangala. They introduced that position, and it was sort of ceremonial position. It's like, oh, Nikki Yambo, what do we do with the old man? He's a respected old man in the party. What do we do with him? Let's put him in that position. And then Bumba, who himself has been flirting with the idea of retiring after leaving Swapo party as Secretary General, he was really just flirting with the idea of retiring and maybe doing business, because he likes doing business. Oh, what do we do with Mbumba? Let's put him there. And then I realized that position is actually very, 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 very serious. That you can no longer treat it as just a position to dump people there, because a person like that can become president the next day.
I generally don't think that it's well, if in the context of succession, I feel that the position still is irrelevant, because before the VP position was created, the constitutional provision still made sure that whoever is second in line in government, who at the time was a prime minister, would still take over. President Gaingob at the time in 2014 told us that it was for inclusivity. The irony for me is just that if we are saying it's for inclusivity and it's a ceremonial position, I would have thought maybe he meant some people who don't have the power or the popularity in the ruling party to be able to progress, but who are needed, minority, for example. And I thought that was the main reason, just to see him bringing his close confidants, his choice. And I think it worked out very well for President Geingob, because remember that the VP was now going to be acting in his place whenever he was not around. And you needed someone you trust. And obviously some of the other positions like Prime Minister, maybe they were contested and there were horse trading needed within the complexity of the ruling party politics. So you needed to bargain.
Yeah.
And I think Prime Minister, maybe he did not have so much say and power as to who he wants to put there. But his number two, at least that was now left to him. And as it worked out in death, is that somebody he trusted ended up taking over and lead. And obviously, in that sense, to carry on his legacy, like President Bumba said, he's there to just finish President Gangob's term and everything. So it was quite an interesting thing. But then again, we still need to look at whether we need a vice president and a prime minister and a deputy prime minister. Why don't we just have a vice president or a prime minister and we do away with the other two? It's because we are still having a top-heavy government structure, which what purpose does the vice president serve that the prime minister cannot serve? Or what does the prime minister do that the vice president cannot do? We need to be optimal about it. We are talking about resources, we are talking about all of this, and also to cut a bit of the bureaucratic red tape. With too many offices, too many titles, what do they actually do?
I agree, because I don't think, I don't remember another country, maybe I must re-educate myself, but I don't remember another country with a president, vice president, prime minister, deputy prime minister. It's ridiculous.
It's too much.
Yes. So, yeah, but what is hurtful for me, Tileni, when it comes to these things, is that these things are not created for good intention, good national agenda intention. Is to accommodate each other because to appease comrades. How can the country use its resources, its very meager resources, just to create positions for comrades to appease themselves?
To make, you see, that has been the I'm sure you were going to ask me this before, later on, but that has been the story of Namibia since 2004.
Yeah.
If you follow properly what has been the Namibian national agenda and look at whether it has been carried out, you will realize that personal interests, especially those linked to individuals within the ruling party, has been the order of the day. Government decisions being made because a certain person needs to, be appeased or kept happy.
Yeah.
President ignoring. I mean, I still want to go back and ask. We have the ACC arresting junior officials still. I mean, making findings, but the same ACC is afraid of touching ministers. Minister Itakanji Murangi, one of them. It still needs to be addressed. So, and that has been the story of Namibia, that the ruling party has been abusing government resources, the privilege that was given to them by the Namibian people to lead by just appeasing their leadership. It's a small group of people in the party leadership who are making decisions that are not even in the interest of the masses who vote for them. Their own grassroots mass base, voting constituents. They don't care. Simply, they are just numb and refuse to listen to doing the right thing. So we've had a government being run, being paralyzed, because every time, and look at it, if you look at actual work done for the development of this country from, say, 2004, 2005, members of the ruling party who have been in government, from the president to the deputy ministers and backbenchers in parliament, they took so much of the time in the last 20 years focusing on internal squabbles and fights and congresses and this and that. If you look at what the Swapo manifesto is saying, what is a developmental agenda, nothing has been done because the people are too busy. By the time they come out of, they start now, Congress, by the time they come out of Congress, it's time for, again, fighting amongst each other for the electoral college, for the pot, but who's going to be on the party list. Then it's election. After elections, again, whoever is the president has to make reshuffles based on who supported who and so on. The agenda has always been focusing on those internal party fights and victimizing those who opposed who, rather than looking at, okay, we have a nation to serve and to develop.
Yeah. I mean, you look at even a WhatsApp profile photo of ministers and others, and it's just party flags or the president's photo there, which tells you that people are really consumed by party politics so much that they almost live and breathe that only. When do you breathe the agenda for which you were made minister, for example?
You have ministers going on sabbatical to study.
Yeah.
You see, a ministerial position is like a project. You have 5 to 10 years to run a specific project. You are entrusted by the people. The president feels you are one of the best the country has to offer. And yet again, you take 3 months off to go on sabbatical, to go and to study. Why? You should either put your studies off, focus on your priority number 1 should be the nation, or you should decline the offer if you feel that it's impeding your studies. I'm not saying that people should not go and study. I mean, we are all studying, but I think being a minister is too crucial a job. It requires your every little bit of attention and time. But so the issue is, we've gotten to a point where I feel that Swapo is no longer appointing people who are the best, who really have something to offer the Namibian people, and focusing on how they are going to implement the national development agenda. I feel Swapo has degenerated into a movement where sycophants reign supreme. The president, the person who's leader of the party, should be able to take people who they don't like, but they feel they have something to offer, for the party's sake and for the country's sake. And now people are being appointed based on slates and camps. And if you look at the party list in the last 2 elections, it shows that there was a decline in quality. Now you have Swapo backbenchers in the Swapo bench who, to be quite frank, the opposition, Bernardo Swartboy, Henny Saibeb, McHenry Venani, all these opposition MPs, Muharukwa, Vipua Muharukwa, they are using the Swapo MPs' heads to mop the floor with. That's really how I look at it. There is no depth, there is no quality. And if you
President Gengov complained about it.
He complained about it because
the caucus.
Yes, but it's his doing. Okay, not maybe fully his doing, but it's his party, and he's supposed to stand up and say, guys, we need to get better comrades. Swapo, the country has better to offer. Definitely Swapo has better to offer. I'm sure if they go back into their mess base and stop playing the politics of sidelining people who are vocal or who are not afraid to be honest and candid about developmental issues, they will find the cadres. Now you have people at the structures the capable people are being pushed out, and it's becoming a populist personality cult type of movement where substance no longer matter. The guy who can sing the loudest or who can shout the loudest becomes, takes over. And that is that is hurting the country's developmental agenda, because you have a party that people trust, but it doesn't care about that responsibility that it has from the people.
Yeah. So do you think that, therefore, Tileni, that with the 2024 elections just around the corner, really, and the said passing of the president, do you think this inadvertently creates an opportunity for renewal to do things differently? We don't know. Of course, we are recording this show now on Friday. It will screen on Sunday. By the time this show screens, Swapo would have made a decision at the Central Committee on Saturday. It looks as if it's a clear way for Netumana Ndaitwa, who is already essentially the candidate of the party, but now it has to be cemented under a different regime, given what has happened.
But why does she want to become an unconstitutional president of the party?
This is what I said earlier this week. I said that every signal is flashing green lights for her. She has overwhelming support of the Central Committee, overwhelming support of the Politburo, and I must be very illiterate to think that she's not threatened by anything really, if she just do what the Constitution says. Because like I argued earlier in the week, I feel that there are people around the VP who fear that, who are so desperate to be on that wagon with her, and they think that they are not ready to take any chance. If we are going to trample on the Constitution in order to get our way, for us to be appointed as ministers, as ambassadors, or whatever, let's trample on that Constitution. Because I just feel like she's surrounded by people who are saying, Madam VP, don't worry, these things happen. People are even saying the president was already set in 2015 when Hage took over from Pahamba. He served for 2.5 years without any extraordinary Congress being called. So why must we do it differently?
Again, sycophants. I'm using the word sycophants.
Yeah.
Because it's I just can't fathom why. You see, the sad part is some of these people are freedom fighters. They went, risked their lives to liberate Namibia and set up systems that are democratic so that every Namibian has a chance to articulate and is entitled to certain rights, right? Now, would you trust a party that is prepared to disregard its own constitution?
Yeah.
Its own constitution. What do you think will happen to the country's constitution?
Yeah.
And 2014 taught us that. It showed us exactly that people who don't care about the rules, even though they are even the ones who made the rules themselves, they don't care about them because their personal interest now should reign supreme and everything else must take a backseat. Now, I'm going back to that and I'm saying I don't see why Vice President Nandi Ndaitwa should be concerned for not fulfilling the requirement of having an extraordinary Congress. One of the issues or one of the main reasons why even is that she was voted overwhelmingly in the 2022 Ordinary Congress as Vice President of the party. The same delegates are the ones who are going to come to an extraordinary Congress. So surely that should have been a sign of her popularity. And any leader, I feel, worth their salt would never be threatened because they know they are serving. And if the people want you, they will want you. If the people recognize that you are a leader capable, they will still vote for you. So why do you need to create an unnecessary crisis and disregarding the constitution? So at what point will Swapo then start abiding to its own constitution?
Yeah.
And, personal interest. And again, I'm saying we go back to 2015. It was a bad precedent. And Vice President Nandi Ndaitwah has now an opportunity to say from here and no more, let's draw the line. This issue must come to an end. Let's fulfill the constitutional requirements that we set for ourselves. And then say, okay, we go to an extraordinary Congress. That's what the party is saying. I mean, we are having lawyers now, people who, even in their own profession, they should not lie. But they are deliberately misinterpreting the meaning of call for a Congress and holding a Congress. I mean, I'm just saying, why would you call for something if you are not prepared to hold it?
But that is where my concern is, Tileni. You see, there are professionals. Because, you see, for a country to function, it ought to have independent minds. Of course, politicians, by their nature, they can be compromised for political reasons and whatnot, political expediency and whatnot. But if even lawyers are prepared to twist facts, to misinterpret constitutions and statutes in order to align themselves with politicians
in power.
I saw the legal advice of the Attorney General the other day when questions of the legitimacy of this whole Mbumba thing came up. And you could also read between the lines that these are people trying to appease people, my own reading. And that is very scary because it starts with lawyers. Next thing you see is courts, who are supposed to be our ultimate sacred space where we run for recourse.
For final arbiters, yes.
Yes. We saw in 2020 that case of Itula.
Yes.
The judge says, indeed, it was unconstitutional for ECN to have used the EVM system without a paper trail.
Yes.
But
there is no sign that there's a legitimacy issue with the outcome of the elections. Now, I'm not a lawyer. You and I are not lawyers. We might leave legal interpretations and the law to those who studied it. But I'm saying that you are right that from a layman's perspective, from where we are seeing it, we are saying that you can't benefit from an illegal act and want to say that it's okay. So that's how we are looking at it. And that's where the problem is, that we are having a problem with Namibia right now. And those running Namibia is that personal interests appear to be superseding national interest. And it's getting so scary that people are starting to apply dishonest tactics to do this. Now, if you go back to the succession issues of Swapo.
Yeah, if you don't mind, Tileni, let's go for a quick break and then we start. Just hold on to that point. We will be back within a short period.
We are all seeking connection to each other, to the world, to the spaces we exist in.
Poor sportsmanship right now from the lads.
You might be physically ready, your body is ready, but mentally.
Here's another chance, and it is a goal from Vindo Kaha.
Zij zei, via is er aan neertrekken. Hij bal lijkt mij grond gepakt. Via uit grond gepakt. En dan zie
But just enough next.
Running that mountain up. Right, so we will be doing this for the mountain climber. more advanced, slightly advanced.
So is jou trolley reg? Want
I love it. I love it. So then
kickstart our countdown at number 5 with this one.
Op Netwerk TV se Klets Kompas gesels ons nuus van 'n Maandag tot Donderdag. Ons kyk ook na die weer en meer. Stories wat jou raak en stories wat saak maak.
They've made a mistake in denying me bail, and they've made several other mistakes in many other cases.
The channels that teach us something new or reflect our expression. So it goes beyond switching to the right station. It's about choosing the experience that can adorn the present, dressing it with our tastes as we expand our preferences, because what we are actually connecting to is boundless, limitless human energy. And this is the spirit of NTV.
My conversation with Tileni Mongudhi continues. Now, you were making a point, but I think you can make it along with my answer to this question. So, Central Committee is sitting. Do you think the way things are staked now in the party, that if anyone had this, because I know, you and I know, there are comrades in the party who say, let's do things according to the Constitution. People like Jerry Kanja have been speaking, but of course, he's outside this structure. He has nothing to lose. He's probably on his last few days as an MP, unless he really does something strong at the Electoral College for him to return again. But do you think that there's even anyone in that Central Committee who is prepared, out of conviction, to say, look, but comrades, let's just follow the Constitution. We'll back our VP, but let's do it correctly?
I don't think so. Well, there are those who are going to raise questions. But again, the problem with Swapo is that there's this thing of trivializing those who are trying to bring about alternative views, especially when people know that this person is correct. The point they're making is valid, but because that point appears to be not in line with the thinking of those who are currently in power in the ruling party, therefore this person or persons will be ignored, and whatever they're trying to say will be trivialized as if, they are not making sense. So, and this, if you go back, I cannot speak for the Swapo prior to 2002. Unfortunately, as a journalist, I can only speak from that time. And one thing I'll tell you is many of the current leaders in Swapo, especially some who are now sort of in key positions, used to label Nyoma, former President Nyoma, as a dictator. But the irony of that is Nyoma actually listened to dissenting voices. And I'll give an example. In 2004, he told his Politburo that I want Pohamba. He's the vice president, therefore he must just take over. Natural succession. His Politburo members, likes of late Yatoivo, late Moseshi Tendero, and Libertina Madila, they stood their ground. And the Politburo, Nyoma's Politburo, told them that we are a democratic body and we will not allow you to be the final decision maker. We are going to nominate others to challenge Pohamba. Nas Angula was nominated, late Dipo Amutenya was nominated, and it was a contest. Yes, came out that it was it was divisive and all of this. But the funny thing is also that those like the late Shitendero and Na Sangula and Libertina Madila and even Pendukeni Vulaitana, who opposed Nyoma's move for Pohamba, rallied behind Pohamba immediately after Congress. So much so that Pohamba appointed Na Sangula as Prime Minister and Libertina Madila as Deputy Prime Minister. Is that now not show that it need not have animosity and hatred?
No.
Because they are your comrades and they are just doing what is prescribed by the constitution of the party. That you must have a contest, you must be elected. You see, the point of electing is you must elect your best. Not just Tileni because he's the loudest or he sings the loudest or, or he smiles the best. No, you must choose people who can deliver. So that process was there. Nyoma used to also face challenges. Ifike Punye Pohamba himself used to be challenged by his own Politburo and Central Committee on decisions. He did not just arbitrarily make decisions until 2015, where he shocked us all. Again, he is the one who started this issue of disregarding the constitution by appointing President Gaingob as the president of the party without a Congress. And okay, fine, 2 years. Maybe his argument was, okay, we had 2 years to go. But now you have a president who the Congress was just a year ago. We have 4 more years to go, 3 more years to go. And you want to tell me that you don't want to have an extraordinary Congress. But the party constitution says within 3 months. Now people are saying, no, we can have a Congress next year only. But you must fulfill the rules.
Exactly. But you see, that's what I'm saying now, that if these things are allowed, Tileni, because you see, my fear is you tolerate one incident,
yes,
2015. Then you tolerate the same incident 9 years later in 2024. Why must anyone in 2029 or any other year abide to the rules when others didn't? Why must I be subjected to that if I have the power? Imagine, because now it's about power. If you have power, you can do whatever you want. So if I have power in 2029, why must I subject myself to the constitution?
Okay, that's the one thing. I think as a nation, Swapo must tell us, or its members, not maybe some of us, we are always being asked, who are you to dictate our party issues?
Yeah.
Swapo must tell its members that from today on, this constitution, we are no longer abiding by it, we are tearing it apart, we are throwing it out.
It's rule of men now.
Yeah, rule of men, rule of the jungle, strongest survives.
Yeah.
Because you can't have a situation where when it suits some, the constitution applies, the rules apply. When it doesn't suit some, then to hell with the constitution. So people must make decisions, say, okay, Swapo has no constitution, there are no rules, it's a wild, wild west out there, but I will personally make the decision to go and be a member of Swapo. That's okay because the person was informed. But you can't tell me, no, come to Swapo, here is our rule book, we are democratic, we are governed by the rule of law, we are this and that, and then you just, when it suits you, you arbitrarily make decisions just because you can. 2015, 2013, 2014, Swapo, again, just shortly after President Pohamba left office, he came back, he was sitting in there, in the Politburo meetings where the Politburo decided to dismiss youth leaders without a process, simply because they did not suit the narrative or they did not align with the powers that be at the time. Again, that's a disregard of the constitution. And the party paid the heavy price in court, where it was shown that it doesn't care with its own rules. Again, the issue of President Pohamba stepping aside and giving President Geingob the power is the same scenario. To hell with the rules. We'll do it because, and those who question this were labeled as what you call it, detractors, and they were labeled as renegades.
Agent provocateurs.
Or agent provocateurs and renegades and all of this. Then you have others. So every time somebody says, but a point of order, should we not do it like this because the rules prescribe this? That person, some of them, their careers have been ended because they were trying to fight for the right thing.
Yeah. I want to give you an example now that you mentioned that. You might have seen what I tweeted this week about Helmut Angola.
Yes, I saw that.
Yeah. Helmut Angola, 2015, he's a Swapo spokesperson at the time. Pohamba leaves, Hage takes over. People like Elijah Ngorare asked, but you know, where is the legitimacy of this takeover? Helmut places a full-page advert in New Era, full of really strong language.
Attacks.
Yeah. Who is Ngorare to ask to question these things?
Where was he?
Where was he? Did he fight? Is he a freedom fighter? Is this? You see those kind of things. Because Helmut was aligned with the powers that be at the time. 2017 happened. Helmut aligned with others, Team Swapo. Team Swapo lost. He hasn't worked his way back into that dominant team again. Now that he's on this side, he is in the papers this week saying, yeah, no, but we must heed the Constitution, we must stick to the Constitution, an extraordinary Congress must be called now to ratify or whatever president of the party.
And that's where many of the Swapo leaders, the delusion they live in is that they are forgetting that rules are there to protect them as well.
Yeah.
You see, if Helmut did not promote the disregard of the party constitution in 2015, that same constitution will protect him today.
Yes.
He disregarded in 2015, today he wants it to be upheld. Why? You see? And that's where I'm saying the rules are there to protect you as well. Now he wants the constitution to protect him and his views because he feels the party needs to be protected. But back then, he was one of the proponents of disregarding the constitution. Now I'm saying President Nandi Ndaitwah has now the opportunity to say, here and no more. We draw the line. From now on, the rules will be followed.
Yeah.
As painful as they are at times, as even though some of them who are supposed to benefit might not benefit from the situation, but in the future, it will help the party and make the party stronger. But if they don't care about the longevity of the Swapo party and they just want to look at it for today, for personal gain, then it's fine. Go ahead, continue doing it because that's what, and then tomorrow, people are surprised when they lose their 2/3 majority. And you think that as a nation, we are observing. People are observing. What has the ruling party in the past 7 years or 5 years done about corruption, inequality, poor service delivery, sanitation, education, poor healthcare? All of these things. I mean, today we were just talking about how regional councillors, the quality is diminishing. They are failing to deliver on the development agenda. So people are seeing this, and that ineffectiveness or inactivity and disregard of the Swapo party constitution is being felt on the ground by the people who don't have medicine in their clinics, don't have water, and there are no textbooks in the schools. So when those people then stand up and vote alternatively, Swapo should not see them as betraying the cause, because the real betrayal is happening now here at the top. Because if you can't agree and abide by your own rules, you will never abide by any rules.
Absolutely. I mean, the president, because people are saying that, because I'm also saying, is it not good, even from a PR point of view, when you market yourself as Netumana Ndaitwah or any other person, when you market yourself to the Namibian electorate ahead of November, that you go to these people with absolute legitimacy, that people are not saying, oh, she came through she is here, she arrived at this stage.
She maneuvered herself in.
Yeah, through these things. How can we trust her with the Namibian constitution? Because that is the ultimate protector of all of us. Like you said, the constitutions must protect all those that are subjected to them. And for me, it's a beautiful opportunity for Netumana Ndaitwah. First, as a potentially first female president in the country, and then you just want her to assent to that. If she assents, that she does it in a way, in an impeccable, legal, fair manner.
The irony of it is that President Netumana Ndaitwah was at the 2022 Congress. One of the reasons why she got an overwhelming majority of the vote is exactly because people believe that she's clean, she's not corrupt, she has the party interest at heart, and she's a believer in the rule of law. And her opponents and the people around them were painted otherwise. Now, this is a person who won overwhelmingly on the basis that she believes in rules and she will do the right thing. And now, tables are turned, and the people around her are trying to say, well, actually, to hell with the rules. We must just, and I'm saying it's really a good opportunity for her, because that's the image that we have of her, that was portrayed of her. And the reason why she won overwhelmingly at the Congress is because apparently she really does believe in the rule of law. And therefore, I feel that this is an opportunity for her to show, again, one step further, that yes, we are going to follow the rules, we are going to do things cleanly, and then that will just further buttress her legitimacy and popularity. But yeah, we don't understand what's happening internally in Swapo. Maybe that's why we are sitting on the fence and debating their undemocratic approach to democracy, basically.
So there are two schools of thought also here, Tileni. Some people are saying that the proponents of skipping the constitution are singing the unity chorus. That, it's election year, we can't afford any factionalism that may emerge out of the extraordinary Congress and going to the national election divided. So, which in any case, there's no provision in the Swapo Constitution that says where you feel that the unity within the party is threatened, you must skip the Constitution. There's no such provision in the first place. But they out of their own volition, decided that is the scenario. But on the opposite side, there are those who say, in fact, unity is cemented when everybody feels that the rules were followed properly. If there is, in an unlikely event that someone stands up against Netumana Ndaitwah, that person will be crushed, according to my analysis. But even that person can say, yes, I was crushed fairly and squarely. The rules were followed.
But my rights as a member of the party were not crushed.
Yes, they were not trampled upon. They were not violated. I lost fairly and squarely. That scenario, others are saying, that is where unity will be forged, where people feel that we were not sidelined by those who are powerful and pushing around everybody unconstitutionally, that the rules were followed and we lost fairly and squarely.
But even, let's take it back to 2004. There was a Congress, extraordinary Congress, a democratic one, so to speak, or there were 3 candidates. 2 candidates lost out. The one candidate's faction felt they were treated unfairly. Those factions went. But the party, ironically, gained more votes after that Despite the factions and despite a breakaway party, Swapo gained more votes. And I think at the time is because people felt here there's democracy at play. Here, we even if I don't agree with the outcome, and a lot of people say that, my candidate was HH, but I respect the outcome. My candidate was Nas, but I respect the outcome. You get that? So Swapo gained more votes after that because the sign of leadership and respect of democracy was there. Now, what happened when these shenanigans started happening of elections or people circumventing the rules? After 2015, okay, 2014 did well. After 2015, it started. Then it was again Gango being installed as party president, unconstitutionally. And then there were other things happening within the party. What happened? People voted against the Swapo party, and Swapo party lost its 2/3 majority. So I'm saying that the trade-off is that the Namibian populace and the Swapo membership on the ground will start resenting the party because they'll start feeling that the party leadership does not care about the party as a unit, as a home, political home for them, because it becomes an elitist situation where I must just get to the top. If I'm at the top,
I do what I want.
Then I do what I want. And that's really where it is. And I'm saying there is no need to do that because that will reflect on the party and the party leadership. And this also reflects on Vice President Nandine Ndaitwah, who is in line to become Namibia's first female president, first woman president. History in the making. And why would she want to dirty her legacy with a petty issue like this? Whereas she can just say, okay, Congress, and I'm almost 90% certain that she will still emerge victorious. So I don't understand why she feels, or those advising her feel the need to trample upon the party constitution.
Absolutely.
Because it will come again. If they do it here, they'll do it in government. And look at also from 2012, Swapo party constitution has been amended so many times from 2012 to the point where the constitution of Swapo runs the risk of becoming meaningless.
Someone said that we must convene this extraordinary Congress because some people are even using resources as an excuse. That 2018 extraordinary Congress that changed the constitution, the so-called Helmut amendments and whatnot, it was done virtually. Since the delegates are the same, tune in from Katima Modelo, zoom in from Oraniemund, let's dedicate 2 hours to this thing, reach consensus quickly. If it's Netumbo, which is 99% the case, you say to her, any opposition to this? Nobody opposes to it. Ratified. She emerges without a scratch out of that process. Because my fear, Tileni, is that once you persist with this unconstitutional approach to these issues, it will become a vicious cycle. When that wheels turn and those who were at the bottom are now at the top, they will say, why must we follow the rules when those who were on top the last time did not do the whole thing? Then it becomes a perpetual thing, non-ending. That will signal the end of the party. Your final thoughts?
Yes, I think I said this before that if the current Swapo leadership is interested in seeing Swapo, what do they say? They say Swapo will rule until Jesus comes. If they are really interested in that, then they must do things the right way so that the Namibian people give them continue giving them the mandate to rule until Jesus comes. If they don't, it's okay. They can also do that, and they run the risk of the Namibian people saying, well, we don't want to associate ourselves with this undemocratic system of governance. And people will vote alternatively. They saw this happen in 2019. If maybe the Swapo leadership is of the view that 2019 was a fluke.
Yeah.
Maybe. And maybe it was a fluke. We don't know. We'll see what happens. But the potential is there that this loss of 2/3 majority, and it will go further down when people start feeling that the Swapo party, the people's liberator, is now becoming the people's oppressor. And oppression starts with small things like disregarding the rules.
Yeah.
Because tomorrow, when I question, then they just summary dismissal. Next one, no, we do what we want. So that's where I feel it's an opportunity for the ruling party to really draw the line in the sand and say, never again are we going to do things in an undemocratic manner, and move on in a way that everyone feels it's legitimate. The president was elected by Congress legitimately. The Constitution sets provision for 3 months for a Congress to be called. It's done legitimately, and then we move forward.
Absolutely. Tileni, I appreciate your analysis. So
Thank you very
pleasure,
much.
but let's see how the year goes. I'll be engaging you more as time goes, but thank you for your time today.
Thank you very much.
That is Tileni Mongudhi. He's a senior political journalist and just sharing his thoughts with us tonight on the agenda regarding issues in Swapo and the country in general. Thank you for watching.